The Galactic Council had always underestimated humanity. For 3 centuries, humans were seen as the fragile newcomers, soft-skinned, short-lived, and weak. When the Krathan Empire began its slave raids on the outer colonies, the Council did nothing. After all, what were a few human settlements compared to galactic peace? Commander Zarthok of the Krathan Fourth Fleet had collected specimens from 17 species. His cargo hold contained Delphian singers, Rothani engineers, and Vesper scholars. But humans, they were his favorite. So breakable, yet so defiant. It made the breaking more satisfying. The transport ship Crimson Talon descended on the agricultural colony of New Taven like a metal bird of prey. The settlement was small, maybe 3,000 souls. Mostly families who'd fled Earth's overcrowded cities for a simpler life among the stars. They had no defenses, no military presence. Just farmers and dreamers. Elsa was 12 years old when the Krathans came. She'd been helping her parents in the wheat fields. Her younger brother, John, barely 8, playing with his homemade toys nearby. The sky turned dark with ships, and then came the energy weapons, the screaming, the fire. Their parents fought. Everyone fought, but plasma rifles against farming tools ended only one way. Elsa grabbed John's hand and ran. Behind them, their mother's last scream cut through the smoke. Their father's defiant roar ended with a sickening thud. The siblings ran until their lungs burned, until they collapsed in a drainage tunnel on the settlement's edge. They weren't the only ones who hid. 47 children survived that day, orphaned in a single afternoon. The Krathans took the adults, those who lived, and left the colony burning. Children they'd calculated wouldn't survive long enough to be worth the cargo space. They were wrong. 5 years passed. The children of New Haven didn't die. They learned. Elsa became their leader, not through force, but through the quiet determination that kept John alive those first freezing nights. She taught the younger ones to hunt, to repair salvaged equipment, to survive. John, despite his age, became their scout, small, quick, and fearless in a way that only someone who'd lost everything could be. They called themselves the Remnant. The Galactic Council sent aid eventually, but it was token gestures, food drops, medical supplies. No one came to rebuild. No one came to protect. Humans were still the expendable species, the ones who didn't matter, so the Remnant stopped waiting for rescue. They began salvaging Krathan technology from the wreckage, studying it, understanding it. John had a gift for it. His small fingers could reach into machinery that others couldn't, and his mind worked in patterns that defied formal education. He built weapons from scraps, not the energy rifles of the Krathans, but something older, something human. Spears, blades, traps. "Why make primitive weapons?" asked one of the older children. Elsa's answer was simple: because they won't expect them. The Krathans returned on a cold morning, 6 years after their first raid. Commander Zarthok himself led the landing party. Intelligence suggested the colony was abandoned, but scans showed salvaged technology active. Perhaps some survivors had grown desperate enough to trade. He brought 20 soldiers, more than enough for scattered refugees. The settlement looked dead, burned buildings, overgrown fields, silence. But the power signatures were real. Zarthok's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. Humans hoarding technology they couldn't possibly understand. This would be amusing. "Spread out," he ordered. "Find whatever survived." They found Elsa instead. She stood in the center of what was once the town square, alone, unarmed. Now 17, she'd grown tall and lean, her face hardened by survival, but her eyes still carrying that human defiance Zarthok remembered enjoying. "You came back," she said quietly. "Little survivor." Zarthok laughed, his translator rendering it as a guttural rumble. "Still alive. Remarkable. Where are the others?" "Gone, dead. Just me." He approached slowly, savoring the moment. "Humans lied so poorly." "I think not. The scans don't lie, child. You've been busy." His clawed hand reached toward her face. "Perhaps you'll tell me the spear came from nowhere. It was barely longer than a forearm, made from sharpened Krathan hull plating, and it moved with surgical precision." The pointed tip punched through the environmental suit's weak point at Zarthok's throat, just beneath his mandible. Not deep enough to kill immediately, but deep enough to paralyze. The commander collapsed, gurgling, his eyes wide with shock. John stepped from the shadows, another spear already in hand. At 13, he was still small by human standards, but his eyes carried the weight of someone much older. "Touch my sister," he said, his voice cold and steady, "and you will not wake again." The Krathan soldiers raised their weapons, but they were already dead. They just didn't know it yet. The Remnant emerged from every shadow, every ruined building, every carefully prepared position. 47 children who'd spent 6 years preparing for this moment. They moved like water through the Krathan ranks, too fast, too unpredictable, too close for energy weapons to matter. Spears found weak points in armor. Blades cut through power cables. Traps crushed exoskeletons. The children fought with the precision of those who'd studied their enemies' every weakness and the fury of those who remembered. Burning homes. It lasted for minutes. When it ended, Elsa stood over Zarthok's convulsing form. The commander's translator still worked, carrying his choked words. Impossible. Your prey species. No, Elsa said softly, pressing her boot against his wound. We're humans, and we protect our own. John retrieved his spear, cleaning the blue blood on the commander's cape. Around them, the remnant secured weapons and equipment. They'd learned long ago that mercy was a luxury they couldn't afford. The Crimson Talon never reported back. Neither did the next 2 ships the Krathan sent. Eventually, they stopped coming to New Haven. The Galactic Council finally noticed when an entire Krathan battle group vanished near human space. They sent investigators, expecting to find wreckage from some new human weapon. Instead, they found children, orphans who'd survived by becoming something the galaxy had never expected, humans to be apex predators. The galaxy learned that day what Earth had always known. Humans weren't the strongest species, or the fastest, or the longest lived, but they were the most dangerous. Because humans didn't just survive, they remembered.